Hello everyone, welcome back to Durbanites FPL Game Week 19 review, Game Week 20 preview. With this video, we officially start the second half of the season. Time to slide downhill towards the finale. Unfortunately, that means we have fewer game weeks left, which is quite sad. But anyway, we're getting closer to crown a champion. Let's start off by looking at the table to see who that could possibly be. Suad is still on top, 84 points the lead, losing a little bit of ground this week, but not too much. But the big story here is, guys, 3 to 6, 7 points splitting 4 teams currently. Big move by Sakya over the weekend to jump up into 5th spot now. Here's the challenges in there as well. And look, after that, there's a little bit of a drop off, but all in all, we have 11 teams that have crossed over into, 13 teams that have crossed over the 1,000 point mark, including Zahida on the cusp there, 1,000 points on the head, and the battle is still tough all through the table. Now, quick turnaround here because the next deadline is tomorrow at noon CET, 1 p.m. South African time. What does that mean? Let's look at what the player selections were for the week. Only 2 staples left now. Antoine Semenyo has dropped off the radar, which is pretty fitting considering that he may soon move to Manchester City, and Bournemouth do have tough games anyway, so the chances are it will be a while before we say Antoine Semenyo live up to the same points that he has been doing all along. But Erling Haaland still hanging in there, 80%, and Phil Foden moving up to 60%, even though he has been blanking, which is quite amazing. Now, looking at the differentiators, Gabriel Magalhaes making a fantastic return for Arsenal. A goal, a clean sheet, bonus points, altogether 15 points for him, and 3 managers scoring from that particular choice for him. Bruno Guimaraes scoring yet again for Newcastle, coming up with double digits for 3 managers, and Pedro Porro with that great comeback there, 10 points, but a clean sheet on a goalless draw, getting 10 points, pretty good. 5 managers coming up with him there as well. Now, what does that mean for the hits and misses? Again, a very short list this week, guys, because most of the midfielders and all of the strikers failed to impress. But defensively, Omer, Didi, Fatih and Squish, as usual, picking up a stone wall at least, and an iron wall for Azra Bhai and Hassan, picking up 30 plus points. So you can see where Gabriel Magalhaes was playing. On the misses, a hot bench for Squish this week, 19 points sitting on the bench, actually 21 sitting on the bench, including 2 from defense, so very, very uncharacteristic for her. And then a flaming bench for Cousins, 30 plus points sitting on the bench, which is quite astonishing. So looking at what that meant for our best possible selection, Pickford gets the number 1 jersey, strong back 5 at the back, including our captain Gabriel. And then you got Enzo Guimaraes and Zubimendi with a very strong defensive midfield, and Bowen and Mateta leading the line. That leaves Roofs, Casemiro, Wissa, and Cole Palmer at 10.4 sitting on the bench. Total points 120, including a bench boost 146 at a total cost of 95.8. A pretty expensive team with some premium defenders at the back, but also, guys, total bench there, very low scoring as well, because a real miss in terms of goals this weekend with a lot of goalless draws. Now, going forward, guys, we're looking at the matchups for the next 10 weeks, and here we're calling out that Arsenal have some tough games coming up, at least in the next couple of weeks. But you're looking at games against Forest United and Leeds, also not super easy, and Sunderland is marked as green. But guys, if you saw that game against Manchester City, it is not an easy game. Bournemouth, as we said, they're going to lose Antoine Semenyo by the looks of it in the January window. On top of that, some tough matches lining up against them. I would not favour the Bournemouth team at this moment in time, but maybe they could surprise you. Chelsea now lose Enzo Maresca, so he makes it to our thumbnail. This is their 4th manager in at least 3 seasons, so it's quite a roller coaster here for them. And we're going to see who that is. Might be appointed the manager from Strasbourg. We're still waiting for confirmation on that. For now, we don't know. But they're going up against Manchester City and Pep Guardiola, who might be pissed after the Sunderland result. So let's see how that works out. Crystal Palace, tough game against Newcastle, and then Villa coming up, and then Sunderland, Chelsea. Again, not a very encouraging run of games, but they do have a strong defense. They've shown that they can beat the top of the class as well. So maybe there's something in there for them, but just a call out for those that have Crystal Palace players at the available. Now, looking at the ones that we favor, Aston Villa, a good run of games coming up, at least in the next three. Brighton as well, some good games that you can look at there, especially around their defenses, and makes for good rotation with teams like Aston Villa. Looking at Everton, the best and most favorable games for the next 10 weeks are at Everton. Looking at their lineup there, quite a few games where they can hold clean sheets, possibly score, but actually the defense there is probably where you want to focus. Guys like Tarkowski, Keane, who is doubtful and might get replaced by Branthwaite, but those are kind of the options that you're looking at. Manchester United still with some good games to come before they go back-to-back. Man City and Arsenal, that's going to be tough in game week 22 and 23. Somewhere along the line, we're expecting Bruno Fernandes to make his way back, but until then, quite some tough games. But you can see there's winnable games ahead with Leeds and Burnley. Newcastle as well. Crystal Palace leads Wolves before they get to Villa and Liverpool, but some good games after that. Nick Pope should be back as well, so expect that in the back line. And then looking at Spurs, even though the results haven't been fantastic with the draw this weekend as well, they do have some winnable games coming up. Not sure exactly who you would want to focus on there. And then West Ham is another team that has some good fixtures. They're not the best team in the world, but they are starting to pick up a little bit here. They've got Wolves coming up, so a chance for them to boost themselves with some goals against Wolves. Then Notts Forest before they take on a Sunderland Burnley later on. Chance for Jared Bowen, Lucas Paqueta to really lead the line there for the teams. But tough games coming up in the second half of the season. With that, let's look at our recommendations for the backlines. Guys, a lot of injuries to defenders all of a sudden. So Levi Colwill still out for the most of the season. Kukurea is doubtful with a slight knock. Calafiori is out for Arsenal. Newcastle struggling with Botman and Hall doubtful. Livramento probably not going to play, and Burns still out after that collision a couple of weeks ago. Munoz still out for Crystal Palace, and Richards is highly doubtful. So you can look at Gehi and Lacroix as bankers there. Joe Rodon still very doubtful for Leeds, Keane as well doubtful for Everton, and then Branthwaite highly doubtful. Now these two are going to rotate once Branthwaite is back. But looking at who you would choose from the goalkeeper side, you've got Verbruggen and Brighton, who's doing really well. Emi Martinez because of the fixtures coming up with Aston Villa, and then of course Nick Pope at Newcastle. On the defensive side, we're calling out Brighton's Van Heck and De Kepa, who also have good attacking returns, if not only clean sheets. Gabriel and Timber at Arsenal, they are by far leading the defensive line. Lacroix and Gehi are the callouts from Crystal Palace. Van de Ven from Spurs with the matches they have coming up. You could also go Romero or Pedro Porro, but they are much more expensive options. Whereas Van de Ven is back to 4.5 after the bad results that he had, so a chance for you to get him on the slide. Dogu's still there for Manchester United. While they have good fixtures, he's got a good attacking output. Unlucky not to get something against Wolves. Malik Tor for Newcastle. Matty Cash back after suspension for Aston Villa, and Ian Matson as they look to get back to winning ways after that thumping by Arsenal on the weekend. Then, looking at the midfield, again, Xavi Simons out suspended. Madison Kulusevski still out for Spurs, so look at them relying on Mohamed Kudus mainly, since Brennan Johnson is reportedly moving in the January transfer window to Crystal Palace. Not sure when that will be officially done, and then he can start playing, but we'll keep you updated. Dewsbury Hall is still out for Everton. Bruno Fernandes still out for Manchester United. Grealish is still doubtful for Everton as well. Mount for United. Ilanga still doubtful for Newcastle. They might need his speed at some stage if they want to start scoring. Rice is doubtful, highly doubtful for Arsenal after picking up a bit of a knock before the game last weekend. And then Yankuba Minte is doubtful, and Caicedo is suspended. So definitely out for Chelsea, adding to their woes. But you've got a fair amount to pick from there. You've got Rodgers and Tielemans for Aston Villa, who are really, really good. Yankuba Minte and Gomez from Brighton as well. Reinders from City and Shirky. Foden is now off this list after blanking for a couple of weeks in a row, where Tijani Reinders and Ryan Shirky have had to carry the weight, so we've taken him off this list for now, but you can still hold on to him if you'd like to. Then we've got Anthony Gordon and Bruno Guimaraes from Newcastle. Gordon being a bit wasteful in the last couple of games, but Bruno's been solid. Then you've got Callum Hudson-Odoi and Morgan Gibbs-White from Nottingham Forest. Lucas Paqueta, that's a call out for the midfield from West Ham. Rice, Saka, and Trossard from Arsenal. Rice might be back. He's trying to get back into training, so not sure how that will work out. Saka's pretty much locked on for minutes. If you want to compare him against guys like Eze and Madueke, who are not really getting the minutes. And then Leandro Trossard doesn't get a lot of minutes, but he is impactful. So entirely up to you how you want to gamble on that one. And then looking at the forwards, guys, Kai Havertz is still out for Arsenal, but might be back in the next couple of days, according to Mikel Arteta. Solanke, Wood, and Muniz, as well as Isak, definitely not coming into the short-term plans. Robbie's picked up a bit of a knock from Sunderland, so not sure how he will play after that grueling Man City game. And then Eddie Nketiah is again in trouble for Crystal Palace, which is quite unfortunate because he's quite lively when he's there. Still, from the picks, Erling Haaland still leading the line even after a couple of blanks. He's got some good games coming up. Ugo Ekitike also blanked on the weekend. It's not a good one for the strikers, but he has at least a few good games. If you haven't bought him yet, probably not the time to buy him because his price has gone up as well. You might want to start looking at someone like a Jared Bowen, who's also on our list, at a more cost-effective price with better games. Diego Thiago is there with Brentford, who have quite a few good games where he could score, and he's still on penalties, of course. Dominic Calvert-Lewin unfortunately ended his consecutive scoring run against Liverpool, although he did score in that game but was slightly offside, but definitely offside, no controversy there. Just quite unfortunate for him to break that run. Let's see how he continues after that. Taking on Manchester United this week. And then you've got Richarlison from Tottenham, who still looks like their best leader towards goals. And then Ollie Watkins of Aston Villa, again, lucky to score a couple of weeks ago, 2 goals that were kind of fortuitous. Didn't really do anything great against Arsenal, but with some good games coming up, you're looking at Watkins to lead the line for Aston Villa for sure. So that's what we have for now, guys. It's a bit of a quick one, and there's going to be a few quick ones during the week because we have a deadline on Saturday and then a deadline on Tuesday as well before going to the next Saturday's deadline. So I'm going to try and keep you updated as much as possible. Also, you can catch up on the chat, of course, on Signal with us. Just in case there are any last-minute changes, I will be keeping updated. But until then, good luck for the second half of the season. Don't forget that all your cards are now recharged, so feel free to use them. And until then, so long for now.